Thank you very much. Yes, so I am Sara. I'm from Vengage. We are a Toronto-based company. We're a design platform for small businesses, nonprofits, and classrooms. And I am joined today by three very knowledgeable folks in the lead gen space. We've got Kiran from Wax Digital, who are an e-procurement platform. We've got Eli from VRBO, a vacation rental and home sharing platform. And we've got Andrew from What If Media, a marketing agency focusing in customer acquisition. So quite a well-rounded panel in terms of the services and the types of leads being generated. And I just want to say, as we go through this panel and I ask the panelists questions, I encourage everyone in the audience to answer the questions as well. And to ask your own questions too. We're going to allot some time at the end of the panel for Q&A. So please feel free to chime in. And I think we're in for a really well-rounded discussion, and I'm really excited to learn from all of you. So to kick things off, I would like to kind of go around the table, so to speak, and have everyone introduce themselves and give a high-level overview of the types of leads that you generate, and at a really high level, what your funnel looks like. So Kiran, maybe you could kick us off.
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Kiran Rana, and I'm the managing partner of actually Wax Digital Solutions. We are a boutique agency focused in the insurances and financial services space. We focus on generating leads from health insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, all the way to refinance and actually personal finance, such as savings deposits, money market accounts, and checking.
Cool. And how about you, Andrew?
How you doing? I'm Andrew Klayman. I'm a partner at What If Media Group. What If owns and operates 17 lead generation websites. We generate over 400,000 registrations daily to our sites. Our main objective is to show the right ad to the right consumer at the right time. We also are a big email, SMS, display, and push publisher, and we're always looking for advertisers that we can target the right consumer for. And we're always looking to speak to anyone, here today or out there in the market.
Cool. And Eli.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Eli. I'm with VRBO, and we rent entire homes for vacations. Our target customers are families. So we're talking about at least 2 adults, at least 2 kids. And the reason why families reach out to us for their vacation is because of space, because of privacy, and because of the amenities that these homes have, like the pool or the yard or the grill or games for the kids. And that's brutal. Thank you.
Awesome. So to kind of kick off the conversation, I wanted to ask each of you about what channels you've seen success for generating leads. And this is going to be kind of a 2-part question because, there's pre-pandemic and of course there is now current pandemic. But generally speaking, where do you focus your lead gen efforts? And Andrew, maybe we can start with you. I know you were telling us that you focus a lot on email marketing as well as SMS.
Sure. Yes, we 85% of the traffic that comes to our sites come from email marketing. We feel email is the best quality out there, that a user is clicking on the ad, coming to our website, knowing what they're clicking on and wanting to sign up. And then we bring them down a whole monetization flow to find out everything about them and be able to target them and get it to the best advertiser. So email to us is the best quality. Plus we're a large email marketer as ourselves. But today also we're starting to focus a lot on SMS, and SMS is directly to the phone as well as push notifications. So we've seen a lot of success with SMS, opt-in and SMS. So we collect TCPA on all of our sites. We are using that TCPA to then SMS the user legally, and we're seeing a lot of success there. So first email, then SMS and push. And, we always want to, try out new things like native and social, but we really focus on email.
Mhm. And so when you talk about your monetization flow that you push the leads through, could you go into that in a little more detail? What kind of goes on there? What
Sure.
features you're at?
So what we want to make sure is that every user sees a different experience when they come to our sites. So if we target by age, geo, the whole 9 yards. If they say they're over 65, what we're going to start doing is showing them Medicare type offers, hearing aid, different kind of things that is useful for them. As well as what we want to know is if they're a homeowner, we want to be able to bring them down a tree that is going to be a perfect fit for them. We don't want to start showing a renter's insurance offer to a homeowner. We're not going to show a solar panel to someone that doesn't own a home as well. So we really try to optimize the user, and every user that comes to our site is going to see a different experience on how they answer each question, what market they're in, and be able to get our advertisers the best consumer possible.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And so Eli, you also mentioned that you do quite a bit of email marketing. So how does that process look for you in comparison to how they approach it at What If?
Absolutely. So given the nature of our business, which is vacation homes that families want to look before they book the trip, content is king. Meaning the pictures, if there's a video, if there's a virtual tour, the description of the property. So when we link that into an email in telling families, hey, travel is still not entirely back on, but you can still be inspired. And here's an email on the top 50 cities or top 10 destinations that are safe and spaced out.
Mm-hmm.
Email is the best way to send that for new leads and for existing customers that want to rebook their annual family trip. And that's kind of why email has been working good for us, because it's intimate in that if they're thinking about travel, if it's a family, with little kids, and they're thinking about that summer vacation or the ski trip, email is a good way to not be intrusive, and they're interested in the content. They go to the page, that's the goal. And because they see those pictures of the lake house with the awesome view in the email, it works pretty well.
Yeah.
Also, Eli, what we've spoken about in the past is that email also is always there. If you do a native ad, I know Kiran might talk about native after this, but if you miss it, you miss it. If they don't delete that email and they open that email and they want to go back to that email, they can easily. And we see, a lot of times that emails get open and then they get reopened and then clicked. So another good thing about email is it doesn't go away. Facebook, native display, if you miss it, you miss it. You might get retargeted later, but email is always there.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point in that email and like content in general, right? Like it's always there. Summer is going to be summer next year. Ski season is going to be ski season next year. You bring up a very good point.
Look, I went back to my Everflow email from June 10th of last year when we did this in Toronto, just to see what questions we did to see if it would be any different. So the email was there. So
there you go.
Yeah, so you both kind of raised a good challenge that's worth discussing with native is the more transient aspect of it. So Kiran, maybe you can speak to how you use native over at Wax Digital. And to start, I mean, when you talk about native, what channels in particular are you talking about, and how do you approach it?
So we approach it, first of all, it took us, absolutely, it is a transient channel, no doubt. Our desire was, email is fantastic. I've worked years in it. The intent, you cannot beat the consumer intent on email. Likewise with native, so it's content-based. We, spent quite a bit of time building the content out. And we focus on the usual networks. However, its content is king. We A/B test our ads probably every 2 weeks. We shift out our content every month. And so that's obviously changed quite a bit pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, right? Certain verticals, certain programs, whether it was U65, whether it was Medicare, which Medicare, backing off of what Andrew said, we've actually seen larger success on the push side and SMS than we have native. But native, we've seen large success with auto insurance and health. And so we focus on mobile acquisition through native, if that makes sense. So it's mobile channels, mobile ad networks.
Push notification, and I know Emerson is, I think, speaking right after us, who runs Pushnami, which is a platform we use. Push has really taken off. I remember a year ago or 2 years ago, we were at Affiliate Summit, and we were sitting there saying, "Yeah, is push going to go away? Is it going to go away?" But now with targeting and different things you can do with push, it's definitely the new way to get to a user, and it goes directly to their Chrome browser or to their Android phone.
Correct.
And you know what? So with email versus push, I feel like email, it's become so pervasive. Obviously, it's expected. You know, people expect to get a newsletter, they expect to get promotional emails. But the concern with SMS and push is always, you know, is it too invasive? How do you kind of strike that balance so as not to scare people off, but actually, you know, deliver them the content that they're looking for when they want it? So Andrew, maybe you can start us off and talk about how you kind of approach striking that balance.
Yeah, it's tough. SMS is it's newer, even though text messaging has been out there for a while. You know, some people think it's a black box, but if you have short code versus long code, if you have short code, you're guaranteed delivery, and you pay a higher CPM for certain short code. So if it's a finance short code, you can send finance type offers on that short code, and your users should expect that if they're signing up, for that short code. It's tricky. Push notifications. I mean, the biggest problem with push is there's only a limited amount of characters that you can use. So you have to get your message across quickly, smart, and you don't want to get complaints. So it's all about testing, understanding your audience, and I don't want to say making a mistake, but learning from learning from when you hit a trap.
Don't make mistakes.
It's also when we own and operate all of our own sites, and it's all of our own data. So we can play around more with it than if someone's just taking random data or managing data. So it's better when you own your own stuff.
Right. And have you had similar experiences, Kiran, with your testing and push notes?
Yes. So backing off of what Andrew said, it really depends. What we found is demographics, right? So obviously demographics that are younger, and I want to say 40 or younger, even 50 or younger, are quick not to engage with push notifications. That's what we found, but that's of course relevant to the products that we own, right? They're all in financial services or insurance. But we have found an older demographic is far more likely to engage. They have a little bit more patience, right? So we've seen success with Medicare. There's patience with those folks, even though certainly, I mean, my parents, it's a tough time for them on gadgets. So it can be tough for these folks, but they have far more patience than we would. We just disengage quite quickly. But again, that's dependent on the product, right? Eli, it could be a totally different thing.
And you're right on that, because for instance, we found out a couple of years ago that, most of the times bookings were done by the mother in the family, but she had to keep everyone happy. And when you're talking about multifamily trips, it adds complexity. So what we did is, email kind of inspires people to check VRBO, but then there's like a 1-2 months planning phase. And we developed trip boards, which is kind of like a wish list of properties where, hey, as a main traveler, I can add properties here, send invites to my sister's family or my friend's family for them to join the trip boards, and then start voting and chatting. And guess what? I got new leads from that too. But it's, we discovered that, but like what you said, identifying who our customer segment main decision maker is, what do they do? And we started with trade boards on web, and we later add them to the app, but we started on web.
Mhm. And so, you've all talked a lot about the importance of, being really targeted with your messaging. So how does your approach vary depending on, age demographic? Because, Kiran, you've talked about how patience is kind of more common with people who are in an older demographic. And I wonder if it's also because people in the younger demographic can be a lot more skeptical. So how do you kind of navigate the messaging and how you approach nurturing leads depending on demographics like that?
No, that's a good question. So if it's a younger demographic, first of all, the intent is going to be a bit higher, obviously, because they've done their research and they are there for a reason and purpose. So the nurturing of that lead is not as complex as it is for an older demographic, if that makes sense. We also, alongside that, we're able to separate both of those kind of channels, and then we nurture. Yeah, I mean, we really nurture it by product. It's just, it can be complex, but for instance, okay, so we do push, we do native, we also do TV, right? TV is a part of our channel, and we look at older demographics there. So nurturing, we separate it out by, hey, if they're older folks, this will be faster process for us. If they're younger, we know it's far more intent, so we can kind of monetize them a few different ways too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Andrew, how have you found qualifying and nurturing those leads based on demographics? Because I know that you guys get quite granular. You've talked about how you really use data science to qualify your leads. So have you noticed any trends as well?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest thing is, how can we get the advertiser the best possible lead? What we do is, we're going to work with the advertiser. First of all, if we're selling to a call center, we're going to require disposition reports so we can understand everything that happens with the leads that we send to them. So we'll take those disposition reports, we'll bring it back into our engine, and our data science will look at it and be like, okay, this sub ID or this source of traffic that we're getting from this emailer, they do well with ages 30 to 45, and we should show them these type of ads. Data science is very, very impressive. They give us this formula and basically help us in getting much better leads for our advertisers. When you talk about older versus younger users, it's all about how you ask the questions. We ask Medicare type questions. We might broaden it out a little bit for the older person, and then the younger, you just want to quickly get them to submit something. So as I said, every advertiser that we work with, we try to work with very, very closely. I know Greg Elbaum is on this Zoom right now with us. He's one of the best sales account managers that I've ever seen out there, working directly with our advertisers to make sure that every little I is dotted and every T is crossed, and that we're giving them best. And guess what? Then they're starting to give us pay increases, and we're doing over 400,000 registrations a day, and we can get them volume. And that's the key thing with what advertisers want, is quality and volume. And that we do through optimization and data science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super cool. I was just thinking now too. So, you mentioned with something like push, you're really beholden to a character limit. And generally, this pandemic, it's an event that has affected everyone on such a massive scale. And we as marketers, we need to be really cautious about, how we position our services right now, so as not to come across insensitive or opportunistic with our messaging. So I'd be interested to know how each of you have kind of navigated that with your ad copy, with with your campaigns and your sales calls, and as a second part to that question, how do you anticipate this will affect your approach moving forward? Kiran, maybe you can start us off with that.
No, that's a great question. We have stayed away from capitalizing on it, which is, difficult to do, especially in the insurance space, right? Because this is a time that a lot of folks either, if they've lost their job, they have COBRA for a certain period of time. So we want to be bringing in consumers for health. Likewise, this is a life-changing event for life insurance. So it's a qualifying event for that. Auto, same thing. So we've actually, stayed away from it, from the subject of sensitivity and not capitalized on it. But we've definitely shifted our messaging as far as ensuring that we are on the same rate. So a lot of insurance carriers have obviously dropped their rates, their premiums, the programs that they offered in health. Special enrollment has extended in certain states, New York being one. The Medicare deadline for Advantage and et cetera has been extended. So we capitalize on what's true. So instead of the pandemic and all that, we've stayed away from it.
I think, I also think, Kiran, I mean, the thing is right now, and Kiran and I had a talk about this, was a lot of the industries that we work in, refi, insurance, travel, with Eli on here as well. They cut their budgets. One of our clients, we had Clorox as a client. We had General Mills as a client. They don't need to buy leads off me when you can't get any Clorox wipes, or you can't get any Betty Crocker, cake mix, right? So, my pub team, Gary Smith on my end had to really adjust payouts to his publishers because our back-end monetization, we couldn't really handle in full. We were doing over 500,000 registrations during this. Everyone's home. Everyone was buying media for cheap. So what we did was we really made sure that we showed the right ads at this time. And I was saying to Eli earlier, things are coming back. Refi is coming back. Lower My Bills is coming back. We were talking about travel, Norwegian Cruise Lines coming back. We're hoping to do some business with VRBO right down there, soon. They're coming back. So we're excited to see what comes back. But you got to take the approach of, not get worried about it and focus on the ads that we can focus on, and watch it all come back.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because really this whole experience, I think for many businesses, has been an exercise in prioritization and being able to identify, what to prioritize, and being able to come to that decision quite rapidly. I think much more rapidly than we would under other circumstances. And Eli, so you're in a unique position where, the travel and tourism industry, you can't ignore the pandemic in your messaging. I mean, it directly impacts your customer flow. So how did you navigate that? And how did you change your messaging and positioning to deal with that?
That's a very good question. That's the question. And I'll answer it in two phases. So the first phase was March, April. What is happening? Travel is off and uncertain. And the key insight from that, from those 2 months, is know your business. Our business is not to manage the homes, because there's people who owns those homes. There's companies who owns vacation rental homes. So what we did immediately is, okay, we're going to give the homeowners decision over refunds and cancellations. But we're going to also incentivize them that if they get full refunds during the emergency period, March, April, we're going to give them an automatic good review. We're going to give them search points, and say, well, the contrary, if they don't on an emergent location city that has travel cancellation. And with our fees, we did 100% refunds, no questions asked for that period. And while it was not the popular decision in social media, it was the best business decision with our partners. Because guess what? Partners now said, hey guys, thank you for giving me the option of deciding on my calendar and my fees and my refunds, which I'm gonna give. And it did happen in the majority of the cases. So homeowners said, I'm going to give you a priority over my vacation calendar between other platforms. So that was the response period. And then while responding and getting ready for travel signals back on, which started to show in end of May, we said, okay, people have talked to us, have reached out to us handily because of privacy in space, but that doesn't mean the same thing as it did before. So now what we're going to do, we're going to showcase reviews mentioning cleanliness. We're going to put them as relevant. We're going to start a new cleanliness scoring system, which you can check now on VRBO. We're going to give partners the option of mark, hey, we give a 24-hour space between reservations, we clean, we disinfectant, and other 5 attributes, which can be displayed on the page. And at the same time, with ad spending, we're doing small tests into, well, IROS targets are obviously stricter and higher, but we're doing small tests to figure out where should we talk about safety and travel and in what way. And we're figuring that out, but we have to take care of our business first, like take care of the partners, take care of the homes and the travelers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you touched on a really important thing, which is understanding your customers and what their priorities are at a given moment, because that can shift suddenly. So, the idea of, people are more concerned with cleanliness right now than maybe they were before. That becomes like a key differentiator maybe between you and a competitor business. I'd be interested to know, and maybe Kiran, you can start off with this. How have you tried to differentiate your business in the current circumstances?
That's a very good question. Look, Andrew and I obviously kind of play in this same space, same customers. I'm sure we'll do business after this even more. Differentiating our business from a consumer standpoint, we've obviously it was an effort that we collectively as a team internally decided, like I said, not to capitalize on the current situation. So more so help the consumers with what they needed, which was, like I said, whether it was health insurance, auto, really nurturing that. And then likewise, we honestly, the past quarter, we focused on our customers. It was a heavy focus on our buy side that no matter what we were going through, we have a refi product. We had no problem, kind of saying, okay, we're not going to pull back media. We will over deliver if we need to get you guys what you need, even if that means that we internally took a profit hit. Right, for the long-term partnership. So we focused heavily on our customers during this period. And I thought, it's very important. You couldn't, unless you sustain those relationships, right? And then likewise with your consumers on the front, I don't think there would have been any other way around that for us.
It's all about that relationship, during the hardest times, figure it out with your clients. In the long run, it's always going to be better. And not only this time, there's been plenty of times that there's harder times for us that we worked with our clients, and now we're better than ever. And during this time, we might have to take a step back, they take a step back, but in the long run, we'll be doing business for the next 10, 15 years because of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that you guys are right. It's so important. Like, now is really the time to treat people like humans and, to treat those relationships in a humane way, in, a way that will kind of go the distance. And, the same applies to your customers too, right? Like, we were talking before this about how this whole situation, it's kind of flipped some of the lead funnels that you guys have. Certain funnels have become more long-term and others have become, a much quicker turnaround. Eli, I know that you were saying that you noticed that with your rentals, that you've seen like really rapid turnaround. Maybe you can speak a little more to how that's changed.
Absolutely, yes. So travel and almost everything is changing. We are seeing among trends that the main travel destination is around 250 miles from origin point. So it's a road trip. And road trips are being preferred over flights or out of the country trips. And we're taking advantage of that. And we're developing content pages and product features on the app and the site that say, these are the top 50 destinations for a road trip in this states or this region, which, like you said, it's about talking to the customer, understanding what they're feeling and what they're needing. And it's turning out well. We're seeing positive feedback and positive conversions, which is what we're all hoping for. So it's about treating the customer the way they feel. When we were not seeing the travel signals we're seeing right now, and I'm talking about April, start of May, we said we gotta email them something, and we came up with a partnership with Mixbook, and we got travelers a free photo book for their vacation that they could trade for other products with Mixbook. And it was an awesome play, increased the email open rates. There were very few, and it even decreased a bit the unsubscribe rates, because it was about being relevant. We were not asking them about booking, which it would be intrusive and unforgiving. But we said, hey, we think this is good for you guys. We know your families, and we want to be relevant. And guess what? That gives permission for the next communication. Then if we send a road trip list recommendations, it will be well received.
Mm-hmm. And Kiran, I know that you said that you also saw a shift in the length of some of your conversion funnels. So how did that affect your business?
That affected our business positively, of course, right? Because the throughput through the funnel is no longer a full PII form. Of course, that's, again, dependent on the vertical and program. Auto, it's certainly preferred, and it should be a longer funnel. With the pandemic, health, and Medicare, we were able to shorten it quite quickly. And our throughput increased almost 10 to 15x.
Interesting. And Andrew, so you guys have, quite a breadth of verticals that you target. What were some of the trends that you noticed between verticals?
To me, almost every vertical, acted differently. As I said earlier, the refi finance type vertical was tough and had it get shut down, but we own the unemployment guide and we own the American Career Guide, which shot up, right? We were getting more traffic to our job sites and our unemployment guide sites, without doing anything. So we looked at everything. Our team really worked hard during this time because, especially on the sales side, we had to start jumping in new verticals. We had to start figuring out where we can sell all these different leads that are coming in, because every single person was, online. Even like auto insurance, I know Kiran was talking about that. We thought it was going to be absolutely horrible. It wasn't that bad. People were still looking at it, and the auto insurance companies are all coming back, giving back 15% to everyone. So every single situation that we encountered, we took, we looked at, we figured out. We might have had to target a little heavier to get better leads in some cases. But as I said, now, things are opening up. People are starting to pay up a little bit, which we're excited about. And, we see a positive trend.
And so Chris from the audience is asking, are you guys actively targeting any new verticals that you didn't target before COVID happened? So Andrew, you spoke to that a little bit. Were there any other ones that you guys have started to double down on?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, what do you go after next? Right. And one of the biggest ones was obviously unemployment. We were in the job world. Now we're going more towards the unemployment world. Then we were, focusing on the, health and well-being of people. So looking at if we should start offering mask type offers, and some of those cost per sale type offers. So we're always looking at new verticals. We're always looking in, how we can, break into something else, right? And we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens.
And how about you, Kiran? Have you noticed any particular verticals kind of standing out that you're now shifting your focus to?
Yes. So likewise, same thing as Andrew. We're always testing. Our test is kind of two-pronged. One, we want to make sure we have the audience for it, right? And we've been building out with pretty good success recently a savings deposits program. Certainly, that is a long tail program. Short sales cycle, but longer optimization, right? And off of that, we had noticed quite a few folks, which is not a surprise, for personal loans. We have not gone that route, but it is a program that we are looking to grow out as we are noticing an audience for it, an audience segment starting to grow, and the lender market kind of settling out now, whereas 2 months ago, the market was completely, the private lenders obviously went under. There was a little bit of constriction in that market. Now that that's opening up, that's a program we're going to look at.
We see the same as well with personal loans. We just built the personal financial guide a couple months ago for this. It all started back in the day when everyone was doing payday. Then it moved into installment loans to personal loans. So you always you jump on what's next.
Right.
Kiran knows about that, and I think she has a savings program right now that she's working on. That's a huge thing right now.
And so, Eli, I know that you were talking too about the shift from more international travel to people looking for more local experiences. So kind of where have you guys been doubling down, and how do you see that kind of affecting the industry moving forward?
Yes, and also to answer Chris's question on the Q&A, what I can share, I can share. So I apologize, Chris, I can't be that specific. VRBO is owned by Expedia, so big company, big rules, a lot of paperwork to get here. If the vertical, so the good thing is that we have permission more than we had before the pandemic. So there's more permission to do new things. If the new vertical talks about safety, it becomes more interesting, and we're willing to do a test than maybe before the pandemic. We were more interested in about amenities and advertising, where people would want the green egg next to a big pool in a home, or being next to a theme park, or walking distance to the beach. If that was relevant before the pandemic, now it's more relevant. Is it safe? Is it spaced out? Does the owner clean? And if we can tap into verticals that also talk about that, then we'll try new verticals. I hope that, I know I can't answer exactly the question, but I hope it gives a little bit of light into what's happening.
I want to flip the switch a little bit now, because we've talked about channels that are working really well, but are there any channels that you think should be avoided? And maybe Andrew, you can kick this off.
Sure. One of the things that we don't allow here is incentivized traffic. We know that some companies are able to make incentivized traffic work. We've seen incentivized traffic just give bad quality to our advertisers. Just so everyone knows on who's here what is incent traffic. That's when, if you're playing Candy Crush on your phone and they say, sign up for this and you'll get 100 coins. We've seen very bad quality with that. We've seen fraud with that. So we've stayed very far away from it. As I said, a lot of companies know how to make it work, but incent traffic is the big no-no in our company.
And Kiran, you also weren't a fan of incentivized traffic, right?
Right, not a fan of it. Same thing. I think certain companies can make it work. I also think it's dependent on the advertiser and product. Certainly the financial products are not, conducive to that because it's such a prime product, right? So for those kind of products, probably not. I agree.
Mm-hmm. And Eli, what's your take?
I agree with Andrew and Kiran. I mean, it's a tough one. We've tested it. Previous to VRBO, I was working with the Uber affiliate programs. We tested it. It didn't work out. I mean, I wouldn't say it's priority number one to test, but hey, if you're out there and if you do a good job, you'll be the first one or one of the few. But yeah, I don't think like it's worth my time to go figure that one out. And if someone wants to reach out, it's great, but it's a tough one. I agree with Andrew and Kiran on that. Totally.
All right. It's unanimous. We only have 4 minutes left, unfortunately, so I want to turn to the other questions that the audience has asked. So the first question, does anyone on the panel see ad budgets starting to ramp back up after the early Q1 lull?
Yeah, I'll answer that. I mean, we're, as I said before, and Kiran and I were talking about this offline, we're starting to see budgets go up and we're starting to see payouts go up. That's huge. Before, during the pandemic, we saw that go down. So we are excited about that. We're seeing industries like the refinance of mortgages, insurance, as Kiran said before, loans. Yeah, we're seeing all that come back right now. So we're hoping for a good third and fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, another question. Is push notification engagement falling due to oversaturation to the users? And how do we combat this? Kiran, I don't know if you have anything to weigh in on this.
I don't think it's just dependent on targeting, right? I do think the younger audience, and especially now because a lot of folks are at home and perhaps their tempers are shortened, engagement with a younger demographic is really challenging. I think the older the demographic, it works. It's likewise the same with TV and radio, right? It's the same thing because we're not going to have the patience to really have ads. We're going to want to go ad free or not even engage. I think if it's a product for 50 or older, at least I'm speaking for us, that we've seen success with that.
Yeah, I would just say one thing about push notifications. I mean, Gary Smith on my end has been buying a lot of push notifications to our sites. It's been, hot right now. And we're seeing the quality actually getting better and better. I know Emerson Smith is speaking next. I see him probably staring at us right now, but he's Mr. Push. He's like the president of Push. So I think we should have Emerson answer this question and lead right into his panel.
Sure. Emerson, did you want to speak to that?
I'd love to. And I'm sorry, it won't let me start the video. Oh, there it goes. Andrew, thank you so much for that. I couldn't have asked for a better lead in.
I've known Emerson forever, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, so it's a great question about, push notifications become so prolific the last few years, but I really liked Andrew's answer too. It all depends on the type of subscriber you're getting, your traffic sources, things like that you're seeing. Several of you guys brought up Incentivized and things like that. Everybody knows there are good sources of traffic to everyone. And it's the same thing with the subscribers. If you're getting a subscriber that's been passed around by 30 different people, you're going to have a problem with engagement. But if you're giving them what they want at the right time, particularly using things like machine learning, you're going to find that engagement continues to increase.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, yeah, and on that note, thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable insights. This has been a really interesting discussion. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for sticking around. I know for us folks in the Eastern time zone, it's the end of the day, but do stick around for the next panel because it's going to be interesting. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Stay safe, and thank you, Everflow, for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, take care.